Canada Soccer has released not one roster, but two. Join us today as we talk about the U18 roster and the CANMNT roster, getting ready for European action shortly. What do they all mean? Well, let's talk about it. Guys, welcome to What Does It Mean? It is effectively our reaction to things, but this is really more of a roster breakdown in terms of what we see. And like I said, two roster. In this economy, what are we actually doing? Proper planning? A U18 preparing for the U20s in this econ? I could keep on saying it. But anyways, guys, this is the Africans football channel. We do primarily Canadian African content. We're going to do a recap of CHAN after the tournament finishes up. Although I did have a quick discussion with my boy Nelson. I'll talk about Kenya's run. Just a short little video that's out there. So you guys want to check that out, feel free to. But we're going to talk about Canada Soccer here. And let's get to what really is the best way to describe these two rosters. It's the showcase interview. It's the tryout. It's the best interview they have. Now for the U18s roster, it's to be part of that U20 roster fighting to make the FIFA U20 World Cup. For the CANMNT roster, it's about opportunities to play. Right now, for the Canadian men's national team, there's September, October, November, potentially January, March, and then at that point you're going to the World Cup. So you have 4 windows minimum to put up their best foot forward. And most of the top places in this roster have been selected. I think for the most part, you are pretty much looking at most of the players. I think if we look at what the roster could be, I think they pretty much are set in stone. The question is, can players work their way in? So names like Tajon Buchanan, I'm not worried about. Derek Cornelius, Jonathan David, even a name like Luc de Fougerolles, I think he's safe. Tanny, I think, is safe, and the likes. But it's that battle for, say, player 16 to 23/26, which gets very interesting. In injuries, we get opportunities, right? Right now, the fullbacks are very fascinating for me because there's no Alistair Johnston, there's no Sam Adekubi, there's no Alphonso Davies. But let's talk about who's here, and we'll talk about who can make the most of this opportunity. So the roster set alphabetical, we have Ali Ahmed, Zorhan Bassong, Tajon Buchanan, Mathieu Choignard, Derek Cornelius, Maxime Crépeau, Jonathan David, Promise David, Luc de Fougerolles, Stefan Eustachio, Junior Hoylett, Jaden Hibbert, Jamie Knight Labelle, Ismail Kone, Kyle Larin, Richie Larea, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, Jaden Nelson, Taniel Lasey, Nathan Saliba, Jacob Schaffelberg, Nico Sigur, Dane St. Clair, and Joel Water. I think if you look at the rosters, there are names that are a little bit surprising. They do show out the opportunities in this roster. For example, Jaden Hibbert. That's going to be a name for CONCACAF that'll be fascinating. He's a goalkeeper that was being pursued a lot by Jamaica, and he chose to come after here. And it does speak to the reality, while it feels right now that it is Dane St. Clair's goal at this moment, there is a reality that beyond there are more opportunities. Now, there was also news about goal on Owen Goodman. Basically, the long and short is he needs his PR, and he doesn't have his PR. And so, unless there's a way around that, he more than likely will not be eligible for Canada. So at this point, we'll keep watching him, but his options for Canada aren't really real, which means not only goalie 3, which we've seen Tom McGill be in, we've seen Jonathan Sirois come in, James Pantemis maybe played well enough to get a shot, but Jaden Hibbert is a name that not only could fight for goalkeeper number 3, but could arguably, especially with the up and down nature that Maxime Crépeau can have, and you know what the baseline of a Dane St. Clair is, there could be more opportunity. And again, there are other goalkeepers that are out there, but this is Hibbert's first opportunity into this camp. It is a friendly, so he isn't fully cap tied. So in a lot of these games, he can come here. Doesn't mean that he's going to play for Canada, but he took the opportunity to see versus going and being fully cap tied to Jamaica. Now, maybe if he goes to Jamaica, he is goalkeeper number 1. But right now, he's looking at his options, and he can look around. Friendlies will do that, so there's no fear in that aspect for him. We look at the fullback. Right now, probably Nico Sigur is going to be playing as one of the fullbacks. Richie Larea is back. Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy is there. I think for Jaquil, I think he deserved a call-up. Me and Dane talked about it on our moves video. If you want to check that out, that will be somewhere here. Click the button. I think Jahkeele actually played well enough, was playing constant 90s. I think he deserved a call-up, not just because of the injuries, but for him, this is an opportunity to come in. Zorhan Bassong gets called in because he knows the system, but the better informed fullback is Jahkeele Marshall-Rutty. And so for him, this is his first showcase with this. Can he move well? Can he be defensively sound? Can he close off those spaces to be a viable option as maybe fullback number 5, maybe fullback number 3? He has an opportunity to stamp out an opportunity for himself, and I think that is very fascinating. Could be very fun for him. But Jahkeele Marshall-Rutty, I think he is a player that could make the most of this opportunity here. We go to the midfield. Stephen Eustachio, nothing to prove. Choignard, nothing to prove. Nathan Saliba, nothing to prove. Ishmael Kone. But depending on where you put a player like Junior Hoy, I think they miss having a player like him, not only at the Gold Cup, but also at Nation. You need a bit, I think there's a lot of talent and potential, and by no means is this a shot at the leadership group. This is nothing against Eustachio or Davies. However, sometimes, as much as you want to hand the team over to the kids and run, you do need... I'm never opposed to having a veteran that's there that can not only set the tone, but also has years of experience and has seen a lot of things that some of these players may not have. And maybe that's the difference between keeping your cool and your calm in a high-stress situation versus losing it. Who knows? I don't know what he has to start, but I think he's still playing... Him still playing well does prove they can. And I think as a midfielder who can maybe go out wide, he's a far better option than Jonathan Osorio, who wasn't called. I think Osorio out wide, to me, Osorio at this point is more of that stay home. Maybe he can contribute in small doses as an 8 to 10, but I think he's more of that 6 to 8. He would be the player I would replace Eustachio. Eustachio needs to come out of the game for like 30 to 20 minutes. That would be how I look. So Junior Hoylett, the savvy old veteran, which is odd to call him old because he's really not that old. But in soccer years, I think for him, that is the opportunity for him. What can he continue to say? Because he would have made that Copa America roster if not for the injury right before. And so for him, I think that's the opportunity that we have to look at. What can he do to show that his value on this roster is worthwhile? We get up to the winger. Will they give, and this kind of goes, the wingers or those outside midfielders and the nines, will they look at different opportunities? Schaffelberg has not been playing well. Yes, he's the player who's been there. He had the good Copa America, but since then his form hasn't been great. Jaden Nelson has been arguably the better player this year in the MLS, and given more opportunities, I think he would be a better player for the CANMNT. Now the question is, will he get that opportunity? Tajon, I think, starting the year how he is, I mean, what else can you say? 3 goals in his debut. It can only go up from there. Let's see if he can stay consistent and keep things level as he's moving through. Ali Ahmed hasn't been as consistent afterwards, but has been able to show good opportunities in terms of when he's played with Vancouver. But Jaden Nelson has surpassed him in terms of club form. So do we go with past ability and past results on the national team? Ali Ahmed had a great end of year last year, right? Copa America was great. He had the 2 friendlies, looked great as well. But right now, Nelson is playing better. Right now, do those players get more looks and more love? Or do they give the opportunities to the legends of last year for their opportunities to move forward? And up top, it's the same. We know who Jonathan does. The question is, who is the 9 to go with? Now, Tanny, still rumored. Nothing is official for Via. Promise David, I think, could offer something. Tanny is the player where a lot of us were saying, well, why is he still playing? Starting to try something else. This is an opportunity. Kyle Aaron is still there saying, hi, I also am a 9 here who can offer something different. It'll be interesting. They're going to be playing Romania and they're going to be playing Wales. 2 teams that are going to offer them a different type of a matchup. And instead of, say, how they played versus Ukraine when they had the home crowd backing them, they're going to be going into a hostile environment. Can they handle that? Can they handle that pressure in that type of a friendly? Because for them, ultimately, we know Jonathan David's going to produce and give them opportunities. Can someone else get onto the score sheet? That's going to be the conversation. That's going to be the thing that we're intrigued by, because we've seen Tanny and Joe David. I think for what Marsh wants to do in pressing, I know why he goes with those two. Much higher work rate. The ceiling is much higher, because at the very least they can press, especially Tanny. But I think if they get pinned back, yes, you want Tanny who can create. Tanny has shown he can create, even if you just send the ball and he creates on his own. But can they get that type of productivity, especially when it comes to a game where they're going to concede more? I think there's a style that Marsh wants to play, but that also means they'll be on the ball more, which means can they be more effective in the opportunities they have? The big thing I want to see is set pieces, right? They're going to be challenged now, not only physically, but tactically in terms of set pieces now against a team like Wales and a team like Romania. Can they go in and say, hey, we expect to have more of the ball, and therefore we expect now when we get those corners to deliver better set pieces and create better scoring chances? Because I think Guatemala, for me, that was the one thing I saw. Yes, the red was an issue. Yes, how they lost the penalties, it happened. But they were just wasteful with their set pieces off corners. And if they can be better there, and maybe that's bringing in a Promise David, who can give you a little bit more height, more athletic profile, who can do something more, I think that opens the door for you. When it gets to the U18s, this is all about seeing the showcase. A lot of names. I know the big name that gets a lot of the headlines is Walter Sedin, who is Henrik's son of the Sedin twins of the Vancouver Canucks. But a lot of these names, Nathaniel Abraham, we know we saw him play U17. Luka Banovic, Marcel Bishkov. If I say your name wrong, guys, I'm sorry. George Booth, Evan Brown, Zane Bruno, Ryan Elumi, Emmerich Fosting, Alex Guboglo, Anthony Klukowski, Lucas Lima, Liam McKenzie, Emmanuel Marmoleo, Killian Michelbach, Benjamin Nash, Josh Nugent, Carter Roche, Felix Samson, Walter Sedin, Izan Gervais, Sopala, and Vogel. For a lot of these players, it's the opportunity. And for me, I think that's what we're looking at. We're looking to see, can this side create an opportunity to do something very interesting? Right? Bibishev and Kuklosly are both playing in Europe, and those are just a couple of the names that we have. And so for them, I'm grateful that we finally have an opportunity where we can see the CSA actually planning ahead. We saw what extra friendlies and extra planning did for the U20s. They came away with a trophy there, and that wasn't even their strongest team. Will this now continue to improve their opportunities as they continue to grow and get better? Only time can tell there, but all those names, that will be very fascinating to see what they're able to do there. And I'm very much curious to see how they'll go. So the international friendlies are happening in Finland for the U18s, and then the CANMNT will be in Romania as well as Wales. So guys, let me know, who are you excited to see on either the U18s or the CANMNT roster? Who excites you? What are you looking for? Is it just a battle for the pass? Are we also battling for the starting lineup? Our roles, what spots are open? You let me know in the comments below. And as always, I'm going to stop talking right here.